Um, Also, welcome everybody. We are so glad you're here. This is Positive Charge, and it's our Coaching Connection series. I don't even remember which one it is. 7, I think, 8. I'm not sure. The smoke is just really kind of taken over everything here. We're actually doing this from Portland, and we have people who are tuning in from so many different places, and we're happy to see that. We are doing Becky Saltzman tonight. Here comes Stephen. Becky Saltzman tonight is going to lead us in an amazing, I am so happy about this. I was looking forward to this all day. Lead us in an amazing talk and discussion on how LinkedIn is going to change our lives. Before we get to Becky, we just want to welcome, I think everybody here knows, about Positive Charge. In a very split second, I just want to tell you that Positive Charge is an organization that exists purely and basically to amplify kindness and make a positive impact in our communities and in our world. We have, in 2020 or since the pandemic, have had our, all of our, really most of our projects and events have been turned upside down like everything else in the world because of the pandemic. This last week, of course, with the fires in Portland, we have really turned to more of an in-person type of setting, helping people to deal with the forest fires, evacuees and firefighters. And that, as tragic as that is, we did get to see people face to face and help some people out. So anyway, this is more of the virtual, we're coming back to the virtual setting here, and we are so glad to see everybody. And we're back on our series tonight, and then we'll tell you more about our series continuing next week. Anyway, we would love to introduce Becky. Jordan, would you like to introduce her?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the talk. This is Becky Saltzman, our speaker this week. She is an idea trafficker, assumption buster, and Applied Curiosity Labs founder and chief curiosity seeker. She travels the world helping forward-thinking companies harness curiosity to illuminate and navigate the future. Becky is the author of Arousing the Bi-Curious and Living Curiously, I can't read today, I'm sorry. How to use curiosity to be remarkable and do good stuff. She's a content specialist for LinkedIn Learning on applied curiosity, ideation, judgment and decision making, and critical thinking. She's also the host of Applied Curiosity Lab Radio, the podcast for the relentlessly curious. Becky received her graduate degree in applied behavioral science from Washington University in St. Louis. And in her spare time, she enjoys great travel adventures, crowded dance floors, and brown drinks. Without further ado, Miss Becky Saltzman.
Hey, are we ready? So there's going to be two things we're going to do. We're going to dive into LinkedIn, and then we're going to dive into hacking LinkedIn. So if you are looking to either launch your career, pivot, or grow your career, those are the three criteria that this will help you achieve. So as a LinkedIn learning specialist, that means that I am a little bit privy to what the roadmap is for LinkedIn, both for LinkedIn Learning as content for online learning, and also for LinkedIn as what their plan is for the future. And I can tell you straight out that if you are looking at a LinkedIn or Snapchat or Facebook or Insta or Pinterest or TikTok, and you are just like, how do I figure this out? Twitter, there's too much stuff, and you are literally wanting to figure out the most efficient way to launch, pivot, or grow your career, I want you to kind of just ignore everything else for a minute and focus on LinkedIn. And then there's two things. So we're going to have, this is going to be super interactive. And I've got two guinea pigs, but Ginger Felberg has been nice enough to share her LinkedIn profile, new to LinkedIn, recent high school graduate, ready to launch, very ready for all this stuff. And she's allowed me to kind of get into her LinkedIn profile and share it with you. And I'm going to use her as a guinea pig. And I didn't tell her anything before we got started. So she's like, what am I going to do? Now, for this, we're going to use, you go down and you see the reactions down at the bottom. You guys see, since I don't see your faces, a lot of you, I would encourage any of you who could give me your face to give me your face, and I'll tell you why, and you'll see why. So there is this reaction, thumbs up, right? And there's this reaction, clapping. Okay, for the purposes of this, because I don't want to get into polls and we don't want to get into slow this stuff down because we've got a lot packed in, I want you to use the clapping for the not so much and the thumbs up for the yes, okay? So clapping is, I know it's weird. They should have thumbs down. But clapping is not so much or no, and thumbs up is yes. So the first question I have is, how many of you have, and I don't care if it sucks or if it's really good, how many of you have a LinkedIn profile? Thumbs up for yes, and not so much for no. Okay. Okay, so most do, 2 don't, all good, 1, 2, 3 did not vote. You're going to get a spanking, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to share the screen for, there you go. I'm going to share the screen for desktop. I'm going to share, no, that's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. Hold on one second. I'm going to share I don't want to share mine. I'm going to share Ginger's screen. Do we see it? See Ginger's profile? Thumbs up? Yeah? Yes? I need your things. Okay, thumbs up. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start by interrogating Ginger's profile. I'm going to give you some inside scoop of some statistics that I know that are not public knowledge about why certain things matter and certain things you can ignore. And we're going to go through all of the steps. And then I'm going to tell you the CPC hack that no one knows, but people who do, it changes their life. So stick with me. Here we go. All right, ready? So with Ginger's profile, we know that most of you guys have a profile, but what I want to show you is, see this little me thing here? See this me thing here? Yeah, yeah. You click on here, and this is where you go to settings and privacy. And the reason I want you to see the settings and privacy is that you can change and edit your public profile. You can see who sees your email address. You can see who sees your connections. You can see, if you want to change, who has viewed your profile. The data that LinkedIn provides, if you're wise and privy to, and you know all the hacks and the behind the scenes, is way, way, way more data than any of the other social profiles. Why? Because it is a business platform. So in terms of how you think about it, you might use Snap for your texting or for your quick little fun things or your communication. The older ones among us might use Facebook, but LinkedIn is such an underutilized platform for advancing, pivoting, or launching your, and it could be your career, it can be your philanthropic endeavor, it can be whatever. So when you want to do this, you want to look quickly through your visibility. You want to see how people are, see all these things, story viewing options, manage status, blah, 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 notifications when you're in the news, mentions or tags by others, manage your activity, get a copy of your data. You can start to see there is a lot of powerful stuff there in this privacy. Okay, so you think, okay, well, how do I get to that? Well, again, we're going back to Ginger. Just a moment, please. We're going back to Ginger, Ginger, Ginger. And you just, again, you click on your profile picture, you hit me, you go down, and then you can hit settings and privacy, and you can set all kinds of things. Now, that is the very first thing when you set up your profile. How many of you have a profile picture in your LinkedIn? I want thumbs up, yes, and I want clapping, no. Thumbs up, and I won't see them all, but Sally's gonna monitor the chat. All right, so let me talk about this picture. I know that there is this whole kind of thing like, let me be me, I want me, and it doesn't matter if people don't like it, that's their tough luck. Well, that's fine, but if you want to navigate your future in a way where the biggest audience for what your platform is, this is a very good picture of Ginger because she's used this open for work thing, and she's got a picture that represents her, but it's still professional. Do you have a dog in your picture if you love dogs? No. Do you have your children in the picture or your husband in the picture? This is not Facebook. Period. Do you have your political hoo-hoo? No. And that doesn't mean that you need to hide who you are. This is a very specific objective with a very specific platform. How many of you have the default background image versus a specific image? Not just the Facebook, not just the face, but how many of you have this very specific image here? Thumbs up for yes, clap for no. Clap for no. Okay. So let me tell you what this is. Ginger, why do you have Washington, D.C. as a background image?
Because it's my goal to work in politics and eventually move to DC.
Okay, so brilliant. How do you project how you want to see yourself, where you want to be? Maybe you want a career in special ed. Maybe you want you want to move to Tahiti. If your geographic desires can be represented in an image, if your career desires can be represented in an image, that's where this goes. Because what this does is it subliminally tells a prospective employer, a prospective partner in terms of, career partnerships, where you want to be. So Ginger, I'm going to give Ginger an A+ for this, and I'm going to give her an A+ for this. All right. Now, be sure if you have a LinkedIn that you are reviewing your account settings. Now, the other thing is LinkedIn a resume? Thumbs up, yes, clap, no. Jordan's right. Ginger, okay. LinkedIn is not a resume. Even though it could stand in as a resume, it is so much more than a resume. Should you write in first person or not? Thumbs up, yes. Clap, no. First person? No. Should you write in first person? Correct. No. Yes. Sorry. Yes, I lied. You should write your LinkedIn profile in first person. This is your presentation. So, and I can tell you there's a lot of statistics behind that, and I could give you all of those statistics, but I'm going to skip it. Just trust me, it is not a resume, and you should write in first person. All right. So we've got the profile pic. Sorry about your dog. Sorry about your kids. Sorry about your hobbies. That does not go here, even though we've got this whole, we got to fly our own flag and what we are and whatever. Save it. That's not for LinkedIn. Ginger's picture is still fun. It represents her. She's got her hair little streaks down. It's not like whatever. It's not like in some, 1980s business thing. She's showing her thing. She is doing her thing, and she is showing people where she wants to be. All right? So everything clear on the background image, the security settings, how you access it. I'm going to go through this really quickly because we got to get to the hacking that no one knows, and like tricks that that are mind-blowing. So we're going to get through this. All right. Let me explain what this.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah. Any questions?
Yes. Go ahead.
It looks like in the chat, Tamar asked about, is the hashtag open to work because of COVID or in general? And what's the thought process? How should we think about that?
Oh,
putting something.
Super good. Excellent question. One of the major hacks that I think are kind of mind-blowing and I've really not seen anywhere but like from private conversations has to do with hashtags. Open for work is really important because it's kind of a thing that's all part of the, kind of the ethos of what's going on. it's totally fine to put that around there. There's not a lot of data about whether that is going to translate to anything empirically reliable. So I don't have the data as to whether that is going to work, but there is no apparent downside to including those profile things open to work. So I'm seeing that all over. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to also point out something super, super interesting and super important about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not a domestic United States kind of platform. LinkedIn is an international platform. So when you think about communicating things that are important, like if all of a sudden you're communicating things that are happening, with Black Lives Matter, for example, you have to understand that to the extent that that matters in India, in Pakistan, in Egypt, where people are engaged with LinkedIn, that might be an important thing. That if you want a broader audience, you have to realize that you are communicating in a non-American audience only platform. Whereas with Facebook and Snapchat, you're kind of probably closer in a silo of sameness. So this open to work seems to be an international thing that a lot of people are doing. And I know this because most of my learners on LinkedIn Learning are not American. And so it's super interesting how you communicate. It's hard because we're so used to thinking that the way we communicate is the way we communicate to our friends and whatever. But if you're going to use LinkedIn, this particular, what do you call those kind of open to work things? You're seeing that all over the world. So that hashtag, now it's not a searchable hashtag on your profile. So we're going to get into that in a few minutes. Is that clear? Did that answer your question? Yeah. Think of LinkedIn as not just like another Facebook at all. Okay. All right. So when you hit the privacy setting, okay, so here's the deal. So you go to here, you go to your profile picture, and see this visibility thing? You hit this. You can then decide whether you want people who are not signed in to see anyone, you want LinkedIn members, or you want your own network. You want some statistics as to what you should do? I suggest that you do what Ginger did and you put your visibility to the public, because this is about spreading your network. And we're going to get to that pretty soon. Okay, so does that make sense? Everyone see that little, how you get there? Okay, Ginger, good job. She didn't have. Now, see this part right here. This is the profile summary. If you do not have a profile summary, by clicking this little pencil and putting your profile summary here, it will default to your first experience thing here. And that is not good. Not that your first experience thing isn't good, but it's not what you want as your profile summary. So when you see Ginger's profile, highly motivated political science major with a strong writing and speaking voice for public policy, that comes from putting that right here. And it's, you want to put something there and not have it default. Okay? Clear on that, everyone? Thumbs up? No. Any questions? Thumbs up. Okay, thumbs up. All right. Now, you want to represent yourself right off the bat in a compelling way. You want to use industry keywords, and I want to talk about a little hack that you can use to determine keywords. And keywords is going to come back again and again in this chat, in this conversation, in this Zoom event, because how many of you know how to find keywords for search engine optimization? Thumbs up if you do, clap if you don't. Sally, you'll have to help me because I don't see it. No. Does anyone know? What is one of the biggest, coolest tricks to finding keywords? All right, I'm going to tell you. Google Trends. You can go to Google Trends for free. And let's say that you are interested in political, I'm going to take a data analysis. Would a keyword be Google Analysis, Google Analysis, data analysis, data science, data analytics? How do you know? Those all kind of mean the same thing. How do you know who's searching for what? Guess what? Google Trends. Go to Google Trends, plug in the different things, and see the trend over time. Who's searching for what? All could mean very similar things. So for example, behavioral science, behavioral analysis, psychology, social science, all of these things. What's a better word to use? Guess where you can go? Google Trends. You can see who is using different language, and you can compare, I think, up to 4 terms, and then you can decide how you want to use that in your profile. So Google Trends is your friend. Okay, so how many of you knew to use Google Trends? Because I want to know if I'm telling you something you already know, and no. Okay, Google Trends is amazing, so use it. All right, you want to identify your role: web developer, educator, designer, barista, special needs educator, musician, producer. Ginger has highly motivated political science major with a strong writing and speaking voice for public policy. So we're gonna critique Ginger's, and maybe we'll even bring someone else on the hot seat, But pretty good, right? Right, pretty good. I think it's pretty good. I'm gonna give Ginger a pretty good. All right, yeah, pretty good. Ginger says no. I think you're being harsh on yourself. All right. So this is what goes under your photo. So those of you who go onto your second screen right now and you look on your LinkedIn profile and it says your job, or the job you had before COVID, or the job that you had 2 years ago, update right here, pencil, update, and we're going to get to how to create really compelling things here as well. All right, this is your profile summary. Your about is different. Now, this about, so if you need inspiration, let's go back to here for a second because I don't want to forget. If you need inspiration for this, you can not only use Google Trends, but you can also search for influencers or key leaders in your industry to get ideas. Now, a lot of profiles are not great, but some are great. And you can search and borrow judiciously from other people that you think are cool in your profile, in your area of expertise. And we're going to get to how you find those people as we get into the hacks. And you're going to be like blown away. Okay, so guess how many people, and whoever wants to shout it out, guess how many people search LinkedIn by industry each week. By industry. Anyone? Okay, so you guys are all like not taking the risk I should have. So 300,000 people search by industry each week. Some people search by name. So it is really important if your industry is special ed. Is it special ed? Is it special education? What are some other terms for special ed? If you're into music production, is it music producer? Is it music production? Is it musician? Is it sound engineer? These kinds of different terms can make or break whether you pop up in a search, and you're going to see why that matters as we get deeper into the hacking. All right, so guess how many profile views you get when you add a location, including a city. Okay, so you can go in here and you can add all kinds of things. You can see your industry. Ginger has an industry, so she's going to get 300, she's going to be part of that 300,000 people search each week. And is she going to put a birthday and email? She can click here. She can then add where she wants her phone number and address. She can add a birthday, you know, all of that. What about a city? A city, you get 23 times, you're 23 times more likely to be found. Now, if you are aiming to move to Kampala or Washington, D.C. or St. Louis, and you put that, if that is your goal and you want to put that city in, you might increase your chances of getting clicked on and connected by 23 times. Now, if you don't know where you're going to end up, you may not want to put that in, but if you do for sure, like, you know, I gotta be in New York City, go ahead and go all in because it'll make you that much more searchable. All right. Now we're down to the about section. Ginger has, and I wouldn't be using Ginger if I thought she was horrible because she's not. It's a really good profile, but you know, you're going to see like all the powerful things you can do. So she has a reliable, curious, and creative thinker with a future special interest in public policy, communications, and foreign relations. All right. Now, here is where you're going to own it. It is short, but not so short. This is too short. It is first person, it's concise, it's to the point. You know, you can be 40 or more words. You want to highlight work, expertise, and impact. You want to tell your story. It's your time to shine. And what I recommend doing is creating a Word doc and then copy and like totally like interrogate it, make it perfect, and then copy and paste it into here with this little pencil. All right, we're going to get right into what makes a good about. All right, have you been recognized for anything? Opportunities, credibility, you showcase your brand. What are the 3 to 6 traits, skills, interests, and values that represent you? Now, that's a little mushy. You're like, okay, Becky, like, how does that translate to actually, you know, making this profile pop? We're going to get there. Ready? All right. So what we're going to do with the about section, what do you bring? Like when your friends describe you, do you bring fun? Do you bring creativity, curiosity, unique thinking, attention to detail, analytics? Do you bring drama? Do you bring level-headedness, quirkiness? Paint a picture of yourself, okay? So that is kind of, think of the adjectives that other people would use to describe you. Now listen, how many of you would say that thumbs up or thumbs down, because I can only see so many and Sally's going to monitor, would say that quirkiness is one of your traits? Okay. And is it like, I only see 2. Is it like, I can't see everyone because I have the screen share. So what do you think, Sally? Are people voting?
Equal. It's about equal. Thumbs
Equal.
up and thumbs up.
Okay. How many of you would say that analytical is something that would describe you? Okay. How many of you that would say that level-headedness would describe you? And how many of you would say that creativity would describe you? So you start to see that some of these words that we think and take for granted as platitudes, like everyone needs to be creative or curious, when you really get down to it, don't present yourself as having a high attention to detail. If you, oh, please check chat. Okay, so we'll get to chat in just a minute. I'm going to get to chat in just a minute. Dane said I have to check chat. How many of you, would think that, okay, all of these words, don't put adjectives in that don't reflect you, because there are really good adjectives that do. So you're going to paint a picture of you. Sally, are there any chat questions?
There are. I'm waiting for you to take a breath. Okay. Just let me know when you would like some chat questions, because they're really
Let's do some chat questions, because I'm going to get we're going to get to the next level of the next thing of the about. I'm racing through to get to the hacks, because I know there's so much and we only have an hour. So go ahead.
Okay. So, and you know what? We can stay on later for whoever can, but I don't know if you can. So if we are students, should our about section be more focused on our aspirations instead of our story, is the first question.
That's a super good question. How long are you going to be a student before you're going to be able to do something as a research assistant within your school, as an intern within an organization? How far are you from sitting in a classroom to actually contributing in some way?
I asked that question, and I'm going into freshman year.
Okay, so that's a really good question. I think that you should focus on what you're learning and what you can contribute. So for example, I know you, Ginger, I can speak to Ginger specifically. as having understood and competed, and you're going to see some, I'm going to give you some good answers to this pretty soon, but like as being competing in speech and debate and discourse, elegantly and eloquently, as being the editor of the paper. There are some things that on day one you can bring to an organization. The things that you are still curious and learning and constantly lifelong learning, you can position that way. But I will tell you a little statistic that is super important as a woman, that there is a lot of evidence that women will, at all levels, recent college graduates all the way to senior level executives, they will look at a job listing and see a list of criteria. Let's say that, for example, there are 10 things that are requirements, not would be nice to haves. A woman will look and say, I have about 8 of those, I shouldn't apply. And a man will say, like, okay, I have 3, I'm going to apply. So I think that beware of imposter syndrome getting in the way of you promoting what you're capable of doing, but understanding that you are acknowledging that your circle of competence has boundaries that you're aware of. So there's this balance when you are in the precarious situation where you're still launching into your academic learning, but you also know that you do have some really valuable skills so that there's a balance there. Is that answering your question, or is that too obtuse?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Okay, we have 2 questions. These are really good as far as giving more information perhaps than you may want to or should. The first question is it a good or bad idea to include your birthday because of potential age discrimination? And then the second question is, do you want to include all of your previous work experience, thinking that maybe you would be giving more information to the viewers than you want to give out? Maybe
Perfect.
you're making a career change, maybe, for whatever reason, you don't want them to be contacted or something.
Excellent questions. Birthday, I really don't see a value in the birthday. I think that's giving away data that's unnecessary. There is no data that I have found that if you give a birthday, you have this, people will wish you a birthday. I don't think that being wished a happy birthday, save that for Facebook, bless you. So I don't think that's important at all. The experience, however, is important, and you want to be strategic about it. Now, here's the cool thing, the cool thing about gaps in your experience, and we're going to get to experience for sure, and we're going to buzz through it quickly, so I'm glad you asked this, is that, if you had something that was like a 2-month thing and it really wasn't good and it doesn't represent you because you were scooping ice cream and that's not anything you want or whatever, and you have a lot of other things that you can show that you had customer service and you had this and you had that, you can leave that off. But you will be expected to explain gaps in your experience. Now, the brilliant thing about gaps in your experience, and I highly, highly recommend this, is there is never before have we had the ability to upskill for free. And if you use this time to upskill or pivot on your skills, you can explain that. Any gaps in your experience. Now, obviously, gaps in your experience for education, gaps in your experience for illness. I've had this asked. Anyone interested in gaps in your experience for illness? Yes, no, yes. If no one cares, I'm going to move on. So I don't see, okay. Is anyone saying yes? Yes? Okay. Gaps in your, take some classes online and use that to fill in, okay? Just do it. People do not need to know about your health, physical and mental health. It's not helpful. I mean, I want to say that people care. It's not anyone's business. If you have then used that to overcome and you are now healthy and doing incredible things, you can talk about it in hindsight, but people don't want to hear it in real time. That's the truth. And anyone who tells you otherwise, it's not true. So if you're not feeling well right now, whether you're anxious or whether you're reasonably kind of incapacitated with all of the uncertainty, go ahead and take some online classes free or otherwise, and fill in the time. Don't just sit there. You can use these Zoom events as saying, this is when I upscale for this is what I did for that. You know, use this Zoom opportunity and some of these free and cheap online learning opportunities to upskill and use that to fill in the gaps. You don't need to explain your physical, mental illness kind of gaps. That's the truth. I wish people cared more, but they don't want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth. Okay. Any questions about that?
No, we do have more questions, but do you want us to leave them until the end?
No, bring them. We can do it. And if I say we're going to get to that, then we'll get to that. Just ask them, and because, you know, I want to, there's a lot here.
Okay, we have more questions. So would you recommend having your LinkedIn in 2 languages if you are aiming to 2 different markets?
Ooh, I don't know the statistics on that, but I will get back to you. There is, if you look here, LinkedIn is moving toward creating some bilingual and multilingual options in terms of name pronunciation, whatever. I suppose that if you are, so I don't know, I don't have data on that. I don't have data on that, but I certainly have access to data on that. So anyone who is interested in that, I will find out and get back to you. I want it to be a data-driven answer because I don't know that.
Okay. And let's see what else. Sorry, it's jumping.
Let's say you're logged in.
Let's see. I am going to mute.
And I can, if you want to gather these questions and I'm going to do the next chunk, you want me to do that and then we can come back? Or do you have questions you want to ask right now?
Sorry, I was trying to mute somebody. Why don't I gather them?
Okay, yeah, all right. So now we're back to the about, okay? Now, here's the other part. So we talked about painting this picture, and we're gonna get into some examples so that you guys can really, because it's one thing like in theory how to think about that, but I wanna give you some examples of actual great abouts that you can use. So we talked about recognition, we talked about opportunities, credibility, and showcase of your brand, and thinking of 3 to 6 traits, you know, like maybe if you're not attention to detail, you don't use that, but if you're creative, you use that. Now we're going to talk about why it matters to you. Now, why does what you want to do matter to you? And I usually think that examples are better than theoretical, so I'm going to get right into examples. Creating economic freedom for people with special needs. Powering technology that make life more fun. Are you a gamer? Are you creating online learning opportunities? Powering technologies that make life more fun. Educating youth. That's a little boring. Could it be better? What could you guys do to come up with that? Connecting teams in distributed workforces. So what could that be? That could be someone who is doing virtual training, for example, and to people that are all over the world. Maybe you have inspiring civic responsibility, eliminating petlessness. Maybe you're working at an animal shelter. You're eliminating petlessness. You know, there's like creative ways of saying the most common things, like if you're babysitting, you know, saving our planet for the high school graduating class of 2040, if you're working on climate change things that really paint a picture. Climate change advocate, saving our planet for the high school graduating class of 2040. A, saving our planet, thumbs up. B, working on climate change, thumbs up. Saving our planet for the high school graduating class of 2040, we'll do it like that, claps. Who thinks that working on climate change is more impactful? Who thinks that saving our planet for the high school graduating class of 2040 is more impactful? Okay, when you are starting to think like this, get into your creative thinking mode. Why does it matter to you? Okay, so you ready for examples? And then we're gonna vote on them, okay? So I'm gonna do like thumbs up or clap, and you guys vote because many of you might fit the bill for some of these things. All right, Dane, are you ready? I'm a producer who turns musicians' creations into ear magic versus I'm an audio engineer. Producer who turns into ear magic, I'm an audio engineer, okay? I'm just trying to say, like, as you're thinking about it, it's what you're doing. And if you are award winning, if you are Grammy nominated, if you are, you know, award winning because you got an award in your high school or from some organization or supported by or sponsored by, think about even the minutia and don't be afraid to come out and say award winning, sponsored by, appreciated by, celebrated, all of these things by whom? What about I conceive of and orchestrate events that engage and inspire sales teams to blank versus event planner,
Yeah.
right? How about this? I'm a creative software engineer who creates irresistible games or who turns learning into gamified fun. Maybe you're a software engineer who writes, you know, programs for games, or you want to do this. This is, again, launch, pivot, grow. Those are the three. Or I'm a master communicator who creates content that engages voters and influences policymakers to embrace data security or to save our planet or to make the workplace more equitable for women. I'm a master communicator who creates content that engages voters and influences policymakers to make the workplace more equitable for humankind. You know, that is the kind of punch that you can use in your about part. And if you're a nonprofit, maybe you want to work in the nonprofit sector. How do you create an inspiring picture painted about for this section? Does anyone want to try? No? Does anyone want to try? It's kind of putting you on the spot. All right. What about starting with a quote? If there is a quote that resonates with you, you can stick it right here, and then you explain exactly why that resonates. You find a quote from someone that you admire, someone, and try not to be so cliche. Like, you know, try to pick a quote that, you know, it takes a village, whatever, blah, 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 fine, whatever. Try to pick a quote that might be like, wow, that really is, and if you pick a quote that's common, pick a new twist on it. You could start with a quote and then you put your thing there. Then underneath here, right, you can add, you edit. And here is where you're going to also do bullet points under here for key skills, accomplishments, and results. And I don't care if you were in high school, if you were a freshman in college, if you were in some organization outside of or in your workforce, key skills, accomplishments, and results, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. And here's the other thing. Right click. Watch this. Watch this. Emojis and symbols. See that? Right click. Emojis and symbols. Don't over emojify, but don't hesitate to add. I know there's like a whole thing where, you know, people are like, oh my God, I don't want to use it. Feel free to put a little something under the bullet points. So if Ginger was going to do bullet points here, maybe what she would do would be, maybe she'd go like this. Maybe she'd go, wow, I'm going to put, boom, I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to make these changes for Ginge, but feel free to use bullet points with emojis to give a little breakup of your, now, it's controversial. Some people say don't do it, but the data says to do it. Not too much, you know, but put a little emoji in there to break up. People are tired of long things, so get your bullet points in there. And then finally, end your summary with a peek into your personal side. Now, you might have heard my personal side when Jordan read, in the spare time, Becky likes great travel adventures, crowded dance floors, and brown drinks. You know, within reason, some people said brown drinks, and they're like, I'm like, what about coffee? You know, but in my spare time, I like crowded dance floors and brown drinks. In my spare time, you can find me on the soccer pitch in my spare time in front of the dartboard, admiring darts in the bullseye, meaning, hey, Home Slice, I'm a good dart player, you know? Or in my spare time, you can find me with a ping pong paddle or racket in my hand. You can find me sweating exhaustively on the tennis court. You think, oh my goodness, who wants to hear that? If you want to stand out, end your summary with a peek into your personal life. Okay? Not too personal. You see what I'm saying? Everyone is that clear to everyone? Yes, no, yes, no? Okay. Now, there are other sections. Let me see, we've got here, I'm gonna do this. We've got media, where do we have? Add media. All right, so there are drop down, where's the media? Let me just find where the media is. Ginger, where are you? I'm trying to find where we can find, is it here? So Ginger has, let's see. So she's got her job preferences. If you want, you can put you can definitely fill out, the more you fill out in your LinkedIn profile, the better. She's got her job preferences: political intern, freelance writer, poet, camp counselor, server, food and beverage assistant. And I don't recommend you put this in at all. And then you've got her commute. She's got 10 miles. If in fact you are open to going to other places, maybe this is an immediate thing. Don't forget when you have this in here to edit it when it's no longer relevant. I see a lot of LinkedIn profiles where people have gotten their jobs and they haven't gone into the details and the granularity to update their thing. Now, what I want to show you is, and I don't, now I'm like, where is this? I'm sorry. There is, whether it's here, I don't think it's here. No, I should have known this. There is a part, and this is a big part of what I want to tell Ginger and you all, but I can't find it, is where you can edit your summary to include media. So where is media? Let's see. Is it here? Here we go. So with each of your jobs, you can also upload media. And when you are thinking about your job, you think to yourself, well, that's got to be a job where I'm getting paid. But if you were in high school, for example, the editor of your yearbook, Ginger, do you have videos, media, links that you can share to articles that you have written? Put them in here, okay? In the context of your camp counselor, if there are pictures of you where you were helping, you know, disadvantaged youth, whatever, you can show pictures, whatever. So think about the media that you can include. You know, obviously you can't include pictures of people that you don't have the rights, but think about, do not negate, don't forget to include media. And like, you've got your volunteer here and you've got your volunteer work. Ginger is great because she's got her volunteer stuff here, but you also can put here, you can put media. So you've got your high school. I want to see articles that you wrote for your high school yearbook. I want to see articles that you, video that you have. If you have any dance video, include your media here, okay? Now, media is super important and it just increases your visibility on LinkedIn massively. Most people don't think about it. If you don't have media, but you want to take something that you have written, because there's no way, there's no link to your article that you wrote for your high school thing or your college thing, or even your company blog. If you've got a company blog and you've contributed an article, get it on there, get the media on there. If it was high school and you don't have, like, there's no URL for that, copy and paste it, set up a Medium account, it's free, post it, get an image and post the Medium article in here. But get your, if you're a writer, if you're creative, if you have any music videos, if you have any videos of you being interviewed or anything you want to write about an opinion, get the media on there. Ginger.
What about a PDF of writing? If like I don't necessarily want to show them like my magazine from high school, but if I could just share with them like a PDF of an article I wrote.
You could totally share a PDF. You could absolutely, and if you can't upload the PDF and it needs to be like a JPEG, then save it as a JPEG and upload it, whatever it is. But you should get your media on here, anything you're proud of. Fill this up, put it in here. And then make a note to check it monthly to make sure that you're not like moving on so fast with your life that your LinkedIn is looking like, 2020 and it's 2022. Okay, so yeah, absolutely. Get all that stuff on there. Anything. A copy of an award. If you were issued an award and you have a picture of you handing the award, get the picture on here. Don't be shy. All right, volunteer work is a great way to, oh God, we're gonna run out of time, crap. Get your volunteer work on here. It's a great way to fill in the gaps. Guess how many profile views you get if you have volunteer? How many more profile views do you get if you have volunteer work? 6 times more profile views for people with volunteer work. Get your experience in here and keep it updated. I'm going quickly. Guess how many profile views you get with the current position? If you have a current position, 8 times more profile views. Connection requests. How many more connection requests do you get with a profile view? With a current position, excuse me. 5 times more. How many more messages do you get with a current position? 10 times. Okay? So now we got, how many of you are like solid on getting all of this, getting your diplomas, getting your licenses, because we're going to get to skills, endorsements, and connections, because we're going to get to the hacking. Okay? We're going to go quickly because I took a little too long. Everyone's clear on this? Sally, any pertinent questions that I need to handle before we get to the hacking part? No?
I was going to say, can we wait until the end
Yeah.
to answer the ask question?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
But
I want to get yours in.
Okay. So here's what we want to do. This hacking part is called C, which is comment, P, which is post, and C, which is connect. CPC. And it goes in that order. Your goal is to get, by the end of September, 500 connections and 1 endorsement. Okay? That's your goal. And here's how you're going to do it. You ready? Some of you might already have it. Most of us don't. Here's how you're going to do it. First of all, you are going to identify your interests and abilities, and you're going to translate them to 6 key hashtags. You're going to check Google Trends to see if you should be like special needs educator. You're going to see the granularity of what those hashtags should be by how often people search. And you're going to create 6 top hashtags. It's going to be tied into your skills and your interests, whether you're going to be launching or pivoting or growing. It's going to be tied to one of those 3 goals. And here is how it's going to work. So someone in this call, give me a hashtag that they know pretty darn well they want to be associated with. Give me one.
Normalize mental health.
Okay, that's long. So do you want mental? Okay, let's try it. Normalize sorry. We're gonna do like this. Normalize mental health. Okay. Now, what you will see with searching for there, you see this? Even though my guess is there may not, let's just see, let's just do this. Let's look at this hashtag. Let's put it in here. Are we seeing here? Normalize mental health. So, Jordan, what you have found is Dr. Daniel Pueblos has written about normalized mental health. So if that's going to be one of your things versus, let's just do this for health awareness, let's say, or normal health matters. You can now see that there are 43,666 followers for mental health awareness and none for normalized mental health. Why? Because you didn't see any followers. All right? This is a trick. Test your hashtags, because if you're trying to get the 500 followers and start building your connection so that you can be a maven in your circle, then you want to make sure that you're following hashtags that have followers. And sometimes it's as simple as switching the semantics ever so carefully, okay? So even though you're like, yeah, but I'm not mental health awareness, I'm normalized mental health, you're gonna have a better audience and you can start owning that hashtag and seeding that hashtag yourself. But you need to start somewhere. So when you put hashtags into the search, you can see, and then you can click follow. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is right now, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do mine, okay? Because that way I don't screw up Ginger's. So I'm gonna put, for example, I want critical thinking is one of the hashtags. And you can see that I'm already following it. There are only 3,050 followers in critical thinking. And how many of those were mental health and awareness? Like tens of thousands, right? So, well, maybe that's fine. Maybe I want to be one of the mavens in critical thinking. Or maybe I want to be a maven in, give me something else. Someone else give me a hashtag. Anyone? No one? No one's here?
Hashtag creative thinking.
Creative thinking. Okay, so creative thinking has 3,000. So let's say that I say, okay, I'm gonna follow, you can see that I'm following probably critical thinking. I'm following, but I'm not following creative thinking, okay? So if I'm following, maybe I'm gonna think good thinking, because that's what I'm good thinking. So here's what happens. So, oops, good thinking. There's only nine followers on good thinking, all right? So what you do is you want to identify the hashtags, the six hashtags, and unless you already have 500 or more kind of connections, go ahead and pick hashtags that have more connections, and then you're following them, all right? So look for the skill tie-ins, keep track of the hashtags that you are gonna be associated with, look at Google Trends. The other thing you can do is, let's say that there's a company like, Jordan, to your thing, National Institute of Health or Institutes of Health, okay? Now you think, okay, do I want that? I didn't do a good job there. There it is here. Do I follow it or do I want NIH? Hashtag NIH. Okay, so you can see, do I want to follow NIH? So let's say that you, Ginger, you want to move to Washington, D.C. What school would be a school that you think would be a really awesome school to go to in Washington, D.C.? Ginge?
She had to head out.
Okay, so give me a school that you guys want to go to somewhere. Anyone? Let's say Johns Hopkins University, right? So you can follow this hashtag, Johns Hopkins. Maybe you want to follow Johns Hopkins instead. And you want to follow this hashtag, and then that means that you want to then identify some of the people that you want to start commenting and liking on their platform. So you can follow people, you can follow hashtags. I recommend following hashtags. We're going to do mental health awareness. If you follow that hashtag, 43,000, then you can start to see that here you can start to see people, and then you start to identify the people that you're going to start liking and commenting. As you see on LinkedIn, there's the like, there's the celebrate, there's the support, there's the love, there's the insight, and there's the curiosity or curious. So you're going to start every day going on, checking your hashtags and liking and commenting. Then, so that's the first C, the liking and commenting, getting used to it, getting part of it. You could get part of the conversation, asking questions. The next is the P, where you are actually sharing posts. So whether you are going on to Google and searching for hashtags, I would recommend that you keep within LinkedIn so that you can use LinkedIn specifically, because if you share posts from people who aren't in LinkedIn, it's harder to hack the system. Like there are plenty of people that don't use LinkedIn. But if you focus your attention on how do I advance my career by using LinkedIn, you can put the hashtags in here, you can follow people, and then you start posting. When you post, you take an article that someone has written. They've shared The Psychology of Uncertainty. So you click on this and you're going to share, you read the article and you say, wow, I'm going to get some insights into the psychology of uncertainty. And then let's say that this person, I can't get into here, this person who shared it is Samuel Hood, managing partner, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you want to start saying, hey, Samuel, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm also a human. Cue the lawyer jokes. And see how he has put his 2 cents into the article. Maybe this is, and his hashtag. You're going to have 6 hashtags in everything you share. You're going to do 3 things. Ready? You're going to tag someone that wrote the article if they're on LinkedIn by putting an @ and tagging them. Thank you, Samuel Hood, for sharing this article. And thank you, Brian Robinson, if you can find him on LinkedIn, for your insights. And you're going to add a few little things and you're going to put your hashtags and you're going to share it. Why are you going to do that? Because you want to be part of the conversation for the 6 hashtags that you have identified that will help you either launch, pivot, or grow your career. So you've got your C is the commenting and the liking. The P is the posting, which is where you really build your political and social capital. And you've already been liking and commenting on their stuff, and now you're hashtagging it, and you tie your post to your hashtags. Now, if you want to share an article that you wrote, you can always open a Medium account and write a little article, free, and share from Medium. You don't need to start a blog. You don't need to, you can have a Medium account and share your writing from Medium. And then you can tag, hey, I would love your opinion. Because if you've been commenting and posting on someone and you've been building social and political capital, you can then ask them, hey, I'd love your opinion on this. I really valued your article that you wrote in Psychology Today about blah, blah, blah. Here's what my thoughts. I'd value your opinion. @ Sally Cohen. Okay, there you go. Now, once you've done that and you're starting to become one of the mavens around your special hashtags, CP, that's when you connect. Then you go and you connect with these people, you follow, you go, okay, let's do this. Jordan. Oh. Okay, we're already connected. But then, so Jordan, you're going to get your thing here. You're going to get, you've got a lot of good stuff you're going to get on here that's going to totally boost your whole thing. And then if you see message, you can go more, and you can always, well, we're already followed, but if it says follow here and you click on follow, even if they say follow here and not connect, you can go here and still connect with people, even if they say follow, because that's a preference that like, for example, on my, hopefully this will make sense. On mine, if you go to mine right now and you try to connect with me, it will say follow. But if you're on this call and you go to those, if you go to the other, you go to this, and you say, oh, okay, I want more, you can see, you can do a lot of things, including follow. When you do follow, if you can give a little comment that says, I loved your article and was happy to share it today on such and such, I'd like to follow you. I'd love to connect with you. Some people are jerks and they'll say, forget it, whatever, and doesn't matter. But you will get 500 by the end of this month if you follow CPC. And I can tell you that anyone who says, oh, I loved your course and I shared a link to your course, I'd love to connect with you, I'm going to be like, bam, yes. Because at that point, you have put in the social political capital to ask for that connection. Does that make sense? Like, and then the other thing is, don't hit them up right away for a job, for selling them something. I hate when I am hit up right away for selling something. So let me see if I can find an example, is messages. So this is an example, don't tell anyone, of messages where someone might have said, let's see, I don't know, like sponsored. So this person who connected with me right away, he immediately hit me up for sales. And it's like, okay, no. So once you've established your political capital by commenting, by posting and sharing, by linking to them, by saying thank you, by asking, oh, I'd love your insights in this article I've written, they may or may not, that's when you can do the second C, which is connect. And once you've connected, and once you've showed them that you've invested in what they're talking about and what they're interested in, then you could hit them up for what? Opportunities. I'd love to explore how we could work together. Is there anything I can do? During COVID, we're locked down. I would love to be able to help you. I have free time that I'd love to devote to your research project. I would love to know more about what you're doing in developmental psychology. I want to know, I understand that you're working on this research project. I'm locked at home in Portland, Oregon. I have 5 hours a day that I can devote to making something happen for you. I loved your article here. Is there any way that I can help you? Now, this is not about looking for a mentor on all the wrong places. This is about building your social capital, getting your platform ready, building your social capital, letting people know what you are, who you are, telling your story, sharing their story, providing the reciprocity where they feel obligated to say, wow, I'm going to connect with this go-getter. Okay, that was quick. Your goal. 500 connections. Why? Because when you look at a profile, you probably know this, but when you look at a profile, the first thing you see is this. You want that 500 plus number, and then you want an endorsement. And if you guys want to talk about and stay on for endorsements, I can tell you how to get endorsements, but we can end also closer to the time, or you can ask me offline if you want. But you start to see, you put the political and social capital in, then you can start asking for favors or volunteering to help, or how can I help? Show them that you read what they've written, you're interested in what they're doing, and you can provide unique opportunity to contribute. You're golden. Questions?
We do, thank you, Becky. We do have some questions from the chat. Anyone is welcome to ask the questions on their own if they'd like, or would anyone like to ask their own question, or I'm happy to ask? I'll just start. So what if you have multiple interests and possible career paths? Do you do a separate profile for all of them, or?
No. So this is a super common thing because we have, so I always talk about this as planets versus galaxy. So identify the planets. So if you were interested in, for example, education and cannabis and political science, okay. Now, you may have to decide, depending on the politics and, legalization issues, whatever, that one thing has to set aside. But if you're interested in marketing, for example, and education and cannabis, you could create a galaxy around those planets. So make sure that whatever planets you create for interests, you tie it in creatively as a galaxy. And your hashtags can reflect. So if I had an example, I'd be able to help you. Like if anyone had an example of how to tie planets into one galaxy.
I was the one that asked the question. This is Tamar, and I'm just thinking like I'm interested in nonprofits, specifically with like mental health advocacy, kind of a lot of different things. So there's already a whole bunch of interest just within that. But then I'm also like interested in like getting mentoring or connecting with writers. Although I do mostly creative writing, like poetry and things like that, narratives. So like those are kind of different. But
So do they, where do those planets intersect at this in the same galaxy?
well, I would say communication. Since I'm a good writer, I can also write a good email. And I know grammar and stuff like
Do
that.
you write,
So,
okay, so let me ask you some adjectives. Do you write beautifully? Do you write inspiring? Do you write points of connection? Do you
Yeah.
write to spark creative, to spark connection? When you think of your writing, how do you tie those planets into one kind of galaxy that you can present yourself? Like, are you a scientific writer? Are you an inspirational writer? Do you spark creativity?
I think creativity, inspiration, maybe like writing about experiences that, have to do with like mental health, social justice issues. So there's some of that, even if it's very creative, like.
So then you have to ask yourself from a pragmatic standpoint, do you want to be a contributing writer? Do you want to be a mentor to other writers? What? Yeah. But one thing I want to say is it's never too early to be a mentor.
Oh.
There are two ways to be a maven or an expert. One is to be the maven and the expert, and the other is to research other mavens and experts and report on them. So if you have no experience, for example, in writing articles for Psychology Today or blah, 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 and you feel like, wow, I could write this stuff, pick 5 people. Pick 5 people to interview. Find someone on LinkedIn, 5 people that you can interview on LinkedIn and say, listen, I am working on a project. It could be for Medium tomorrow. Doesn't need to be like some sanctioned project. I am working on a project. I would love to interview you for this project. I'm researching such and such. Now that might end up in your Medium article where you can tag these people. But one thing I've learned is it's one thing to figure out the boundaries of your circle of competence, but don't let that create too much of an imposter syndrome, because you can always be curious. You can always use your curiosity as a tool for interviewing and exploring people who are mavens and reporting on them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You always, so. You shake that imposter. If you've never really, okay, what do? I want to write for Psychology Today. Find people on LinkedIn with these hashtags. Start CPC, start connecting, and then say, listen, I love your 5 things. As you know, I shared and blah, 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 blah. I'd love to connect with you. I'd like to interview you for a project. When you are in 4th grade and you want to study dentistry, and you go into the dentist and you say, hey, I want to be able to interview you, and they're like, oh, aren't you cute, little 4th grader, you're going to be in. And then when you get to an adult and you want to have these same things, they're like, wait, what's your motive? You're working on a project, and that project is an article you're going to write in Medium.
All right. Cool, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question. Hi, I'm Anna from Peru. I think you already know me. Hi, Becky.
Hi, darling.
Hi. I have a quick question. So I'm relocating to Israel in a month from now. So my profile right now, and I was the one that asked if I should have it like in 2 languages, because I have it right now. Like I have it in English and Spanish right now. But since I'm going to be working in Israel, I'm like, I should maybe only have it in English, but then I don't want to get too far away from my country, maybe see some remote work opportunities. So I don't know if I should keep it or just put it in English and that's it.
Oh, so when you look at it now, is it primarily in English or Spanish or both?
Apparently, LinkedIn has an option that if you're an English speaking person, you will see it in English, and if you're a Spanish speaking person, you'll see it in Spanish. Apparently, I have no idea if that works.
Okay, so that's perfect. So I would say don't default to what LinkedIn does. Instead, in your about section, embrace that. You know, you are a, you know, whatever it is, you say it in your about section and spell it out, you know, and you know, in my spare time, I'm studying, blah, 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 blah. I think that in Israel, obviously English, but also people want people speaking Spanish. So I wouldn't default to letting LinkedIn determine what language. I would just put it in your about section and spell out exactly who you are and what languages you speak in English, and then let it, you know, especially in Israel.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I do have a question. Do you hear me?
I do. Mimpaji.
Sometimes I'm not sure if you hear me or not. But I have a question. I don't know if I'm going to shape it well so that everybody understands it. But I hope you will understand me, and if others don't, you will help me explain what I mean.
Okay.
What if, let me use my current status on LinkedIn. When I went on LinkedIn, my idea was to connect with social activists. But as time goes on, I am finding more interest in checking up people who give life to business ideas, people who start business and they give them life and grow. So my question is, how is it important to enjoin one profile? Can my profile be like, yeah, it represents my activist side? At the same time, I have this desire that my profile should represent me as somebody who is eager and craving for business ideas and connect with business people. I find that people who are in business and nurturing business ideas really tend to distance themselves from activism. And that's a struggle I have to look at daily to see how do I choose what I want best? And it's a struggle that I don't know how to deal with, because while I love business, I still want to keep my leg into the activist circles. Yet I feel like now the world is moving on. We need to look, or I need to look at business more than I look at it at activism. So
okay, that's a brilliant question. I get your question totally, and I think it's a brilliant question. I think it's a very common question because we all have our needs and desires, and we still want to represent who we are, but then like we need to make money and we need to do the business and whatever. This is why on the about part, the first step, and I didn't really have a chance to get into this, is identify the different planets and create create your galaxy. And if in fact it is business that you want, and business isn't probably specific enough because business is kind of just like business is way too obtuse and way too general. You may have to get to a granularity of what you bring to business and bringing your experience. And I wouldn't necessarily call it social activism, but like I know you and I know a lot of your skills, and some of your skills are identifying far-reaching goals and figuring out the path to achieving them. That is something that you have done. And I think that if you get away from some of the low-hanging adjectives and you start to get a little more creative about what it is you do, not like business and activism. Stop using the terms of identity politics and get deep into what it is you do. Because, for example, your story is amazing. You set out a goal to get to the United States, and the steps that you took and the problem solving along the way, profoundly effective. And when they haven't been, and how you've pivoted, and your resilience and your grit and your problem solving. And in your spare time, You like to apply that grit and problem solving and fortitude to making the world a better place for humanism. You know, you can, in your last sentence of your about page, bring in, and I would say, don't use the words like business, don't use the words like activism, get deeper, get beyond the platitudinal layers and identity politics layers and get to like what it is you do. Paint a picture. And I don't know if that is clear, but it's super clear to me.
Well, I think I do understand what you are saying. I do think that you are telling me I should think of avoiding use general terms.
It's fine, but they are words that tend to just get glossed over. Like, you know, a hard worker is something that a lot of people use, but like, what does it mean to be a hard worker? Do you work longer? Do you work smarter? Are you more intelligent? Are you a problem solver? What does it mean to be a hard worker? When you can answer those questions, and maybe hardworking isn't what you are. Maybe you are a provocative thinker and you bring your provocative thinking to problem solving. And, you know, again, we fall back on so many of these terms that just sound like Charlie Brown's "This is going to be lost on you growing up in Uganda," but wah, 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 wah. We need the spice. We need the differentiation. We need to paint the picture. And I know you, and business and activism are way too certain. That's to 10,000 feet. You can get, so, if people knew your story, they would see how it could apply to solving problems in ridiculously creative ways.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We're done.
That's awesome. Totally awesome. I love how you did that, especially because it's so easy to make assumptions based on high-level words, right? But when you actually get to defining in conversation or on your LinkedIn page exactly what you do, what you did, who you are, you jump over the assumptions and you can really more finely identify who you are and who you're looking at.
Think of an onion peeler. And if you are stopping on a word like business or hard worker or, you know, even creative, can you get more granular?
Right.
You know, that's really it.
Excellent.
And it's, again, and less platitudinal. Paint the picture.
Exactly. Very good. Love it.
Anyway.
Thank you, Becky.
All right,
Awesome.
you guys.
So we have, just so you guys know, we do this on Tuesdays, but the next 2 Tuesdays we are off. And the next Tuesday is October 6th. This is a great one too. They're all great. You guys are all amazing.
October 6th.
All the presenters are so amazing and everything you tell us is so amazing. We are doing, Stephen Kaufman is doing Owning Your Own Business. Do I need an MBA or common sense? Very good. So we will be coming back here on the same link. And between now and then, we hope you guys all stay very safe and healthy. All right?
Put on your masks.
Wear your masks. Yeah.
Bye, guys. Thank you guys for awesome questions.
Yeah. Excellent.
And don't forget to ask for those endorsements on LinkedIn, by the way.
You have homework.
You've already created your social capital. You're good to go.
Mama, masks make me have running nose.
Okay, so blow your nose and get over it. Bye, guys.